Yes,
Cool.
sir.
So we got some people on the live. So guys, we're gonna kick this off. I have got a very super special guest here today. I can feel the energy. I feel we're gonna get some real amazing knowledge out of this young man. Me and Dee met in Barcelona. Was it this year? Last year.
I don't know. Feels like 10 years ago with this.
Anyway,
It's
me and
nuts.
Dee met, and yeah, we've been in touch ever since. I've been on his incredible show. He's luckily said that he would come back and give us some value inside the lab. A little bit brief background. I'm going to pass it on to you to give your background, but a little bit about Dee. He is co-founder and CEO at Right Hook Digital, who are a monster of an e-com and performance-driven marketing agency over in Oz. In fact, you actually just got listed, I think I'm right in saying, as one of the fastest growing companies in Australia, which is fucking mental. That's amazing, man. Congratulations. But please tell us your story. How did you get into this? Because I know you've had like a really cool background as far as we both said we used to work in kitchens. And then I think I'm right in saying you worked like on film sets and stuff like that. So tell us all about you, Dee, before we get into some real golden nuggets that I can't
Yes,
wait
sir.
to share with the lab.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First of all, it's so weird being on the receiving end of people reading your bio. It's just like, whoa, this is weird. But I'll take a compliment where I can get it. Thank you so much for thank you so much for G'ing everyone up. I really do appreciate that. I've had a funny background. I mean, if you go into my LinkedIn and you know how there's always the about you. I hate about yous, and because it just gets wanky sometimes. My opening line is, I'm the quintessential Asian parent's worst nightmare. Right? I gave my parents just heart attack after heart attack after heart attack. Dropped out of law school.
Wow.
You know, it's mandatory in Singapore to serve your country. So I ended up in the fire department. So I was in the fire department for 2.5 years as a firefighter.
So do you have to do like mandatory public service? Do you?
Yes, sir. So
wow.
you get drafted into, you know, Army, Navy, Air Force, police force, or fireman, which is weird having like an 18-year-old cop pull you over in Singapore, and like, you know, it's a really interesting dynamic. Yeah. So went from that, and growing up, never really knew what I wanted to do, but because both my parents were corporate slaves, I knew that wasn't what I didn't want to do, like go in the grind and do all that. So ended up in film, just stumbled my way in, found myself on a film set, and worked in reality TV predominantly. And then in 2008, the Wall Street crash happened. And that was when one of and all the work dried up in Singapore because I worked predominantly with US productions. And one of my buddies on the Gold Coast called me and said, "Hey, I have work here for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, you know, I might be able to hold it out." He goes, "Yeah, but you know the girls here are hot, right?" And I kid you not.
There's always a plug, right? There's always that.
Right. So I was single at the time, and I sold all my shit and moved. And I think it was like a 2-month decision. I sold my shit and moved. My family's still back in Singapore. So sold all my stuff, moved. Didn't move to the Gold Coast, moved to Brisbane instead, which is an hour's drive north. Been here ever since, hitched now. So, you know, it worked out. Yeah. During that time was when I found a lot of trouble getting into the film industry because it's super small, and stumbled my way into my first tech startup in 2013, knowing nothing about business, nothing about marketing. I think we joked on it on my show. Like, I thought CRO was like a C-suite executive position. You know, I knew nothing about nothing.
Can I speak to the CRO at your business, please?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to interview with the CRO. So and that tried to raise capital with that business, knew nothing about tech, nothing about business or any of that, and tried to create a tech startup, which was a marketplace, which is notoriously one of the hardest startups to try to build, because you have two different customers. You have the using Uber as the example, you need to recruit drivers and you need to recruit customers. Too many of one lacks the other. And so I learned a lot of lessons during that time, and went both feet in, because I quit my job. So I went both feet in, and I did the startup, tried to raise capital, managed to growth hack and social hack my way to like pitching Guy Kawasaki in person, and pitching some really cool big people in person. Never got to raise, and drove me almost broke. I have a screenshot of my bank account where I had, if I'm not wrong, like $200 left with no prospects whatsoever. And by that time I moved in with my back then just partner, not wife, now my wife, Nat. And the notification came. I opened my bank app, and I remember my heart just sank. My face just went completely white. We were all watching TV, and I had to make that split-second decision: do I tell them or do I just figure shit out?
Okay.
Split-second decision ended up. I didn't tell them until today.
Okay.
Nat doesn't know. So unless she watches these, like, she does not know.
This is going to really backfire because I actually privately invited your wife to watch it.
and here she is.
She's flown
like
all the way
Phil
to the
show.
UK to do the About D-Deng life series.
Absolutely. This is the Dr. Phil show.
So you had this realization. You've left your country. You've gone to a completely different country, completely different industry. You're literally down to the last 200 quid. You're sat there looking at your phone with your now wife in the room, thinking, "Do I tell her?" You choose not to. And what happens then?
And the next morning, I decided I need to pull my finger out of my ass and see whether I can. The one skill that I do have was always rapport. Never really had to build sales skills. But because of the platform that I was building for the film industry, I knew a lot of freelancers who just, were looking for work. So I just went on the phone the next day and just called every single small business in town, to mid-tier, like, kindergarten chains and daycare chains, and went, would you like video done for you? We are a new production company. I didn't even have a website or any registered business. We're a new production company. We're giving out packages right now. And in 2 weeks, I closed $40K worth of business. Yeah, thank God. And I negotiated deals so that all the people, all the freelancers that came on my film sets, I paid them after I got paid, because I had good relationships enough for them to trust me enough to do that. And then from that point, did that for a while, got really heavily into marketing, and I'll skip a few other stories. And
so, are you marketing the films you produce? Is that how you got into the marketing
exactly.
side?
So my
that was your first real into marketing online.
Exactly, and marketing for learning about growth hacking. During my tech startup, so that was my first.
Because you have zero budget, you have to hack everything, hack your way to get eyes on whatever you are doing, and you utilize them again in your marketing for your films and things that you produce, and you kind of just snowball from there, right?
Exactly. So Facebook ads back then. Facebook ads back then, dabbled with. That was when I really started spending my own money on Facebook ads. Creating, and fortunately, I could create my own content. But then email marketing, understanding the nuance of that as well. CRO was such a big thing that I learned. I was like, oh wait, it's not a C-suite. it actually means something completely different. And finally, getting to being on a Neil Patel forum.
Oh wow!
And I was jamming with this other guy who. We were jamming about cohort analysis, and I'm like, who the only next level nerds want to talk about cohort analysis. Most people are asking about, what creative should I use or all that, or what are negative keywords. So turns out this guy lives on the Gold Coast, an hour away from me. We decided to meet up for Korean fried chicken.
I fucking love the internet.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. And then he turned out to be my co-founder.
I was praying that you were about to say that, because as I sort of said on yours, this is exactly how me and Andy, my co-founder, met. It was through a forum, my forum. Neil Patel, you met through his forum, and he's there's 100,000 people on this forum, and he lived 20 minutes away, and we didn't know that. And kind of like your story, we met up, we went for coffee, and now 7 years later we're doing this, and you guys are doing that. It's incredible,
insane, right?
Yeah. So bring us back up to kind of date. You meet this guy, and we're going to get into some really cool stuff about e-com and Facebook and how your business runs, and obviously the current climate and stuff, guys. And big shout out to anyone who's watching. I can see Phil giving us a shout, Joe, Leighton, Kira. We've got Amsa on here. So guys, thank you. Keep shouting us out. Don't forget if you're watching
Phil
this on. Phil's good. Good man, Phil is. Always just think of Phil when we think of champagne in Barcelona, covering him with that massive bottle in the club. That was a good night, mad night. But anyway, bring us kind of more up to date. So you meet your co-founder, and now tell us about how you took that. So that was what, 2013, 2014, and now
I started my tech startup.
This huge company.
So my tech startup was 2013. I met Scott 2017, late 2016, and then we signed the papers officially. That That's what it is. We met up in January, February 2017. We officially signed the papers July 3rd, 2017. Between us meeting and signing the papers, the deal was, listen, we've done business before. We've had ex-co-founders that completely flaked out or just couldn't commit. No one could pull through. It was a bit like a bunch of pals trying to start something cool kind of thing. So let's not jump into bed together too early. Let's see if we can close some clients. So we gave ourselves a KPI. I forget what it was specifically. I think it was, if we can close 4 clients in the next 6 weeks, we'll think about how we go from there.
That makes this official. Yeah,
exactly. And to the point where I was like, listen, I'm doing well with my production company. Everything's okay. I don't care about the paperwork, and all I care about is just vetting whether we work together. So whatever invoices get issued, just throw it into your business account. I don't even care about like trust or signing anything, because realistically speaking, if in 2 months' time I ask you, is the cash there, and you say no, I already get my KPI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly, right. And that's my tuition fee, whatever.
Right.
Within 4 weeks, we ended up closing like 7 clients or something like that. We started driving results, and we never knew where we wanted to take it. We just knew that we were 2 guys in our 30s with massive chips on our shoulders, because there are all these guys in their 20s just like building, multi-billion-dollar whatever.
Driving their Ferraris and
Exactly.
So these initial clients, was it what you were doing right now? Was it paid media for them? Yeah.
Exactly. So it's running Facebook ads for e-com. Scott. Fortunately, while I was doing my production company, I was also interim CMO I was like an outsourced CMO, because I could see angles not only from creative, but I understood the stack and how it hit business objectives. And coming from tech, it helps, because then I get brought into a lot of being an advisor for a lot of tech startups.
Sure.
And Scott was back then the e-com manager for a brand group. So he managed everything from 3PL to ads, and everything, right? He touched everything: Google Shopping, comparison search engines, CRO, pricing, split testing, and all that. So it was a good complementary mix. And so we decided, I will do sales, I will do account management-ish, and he will do the media buying. And by the time we were July 3rd, we signed the papers. We had 2 other team members, 1 account manager and 1 media buyer, so that Scott and I can do other things. And 2 and a bit years later, we'll turn 3 on July 3rd this year, but 2 and a bit years later, we've got like 50 fucking people now.
That happened quick. I was going to say, that happened quick. Like
a lot of lessons.
That's a quick progression. Yeah, absolutely. But you obviously take action and kind of learn from those lessons quickly and adapt, because to be now, in the top 50 growing companies in Australia, is remarkable. So, mate, congratulations. It's an amazing story. Really, really cool. So let's bring it up to modern day now, guys. Again, if you're watching and you have like any questions along the line for D about, e-com, Facebook, marketing, that kind of stuff, we can throw them in. But I'd like to just learn more about what you guys are doing right now. So tell us what a typical client looks like, how you're adapting to the current climate with obviously what's going on with the current pandemic, how that's affected you for the, negatives and maybe positives as well. And just give us an overview of what you guys are doing right now, if that's cool.
Absolutely. So current clientele stayed very much the same throughout the entire time. So we focus predominantly on e-commerce, direct to consumer. We don't really go any deeper than that. So in other words, whether you are beauty, luxury, fashion, apparel, skincare, we can take care of you. That was always our motto. The principles stay the same, even though the niches might be different, high ticket or low ticket.
Yeah.
Our AOV amongst our clients averages out anywhere between the $80-something to the high 200s. So that's where we live. And in terms of where they were at, the last, I would say, 5 weeks has been a very interesting ride, and I'm sure for you as well, right? Sure. Where when it first hit our shores, and we deal with Australian clients as well as US clients. So because we have a team in the US as well, we're about to open in the UK, which I'm very excited about.
Yes, love it.
So pumped about that.
That means hopefully I'll be seeing your lovely face soon here in our shores.
I cannot wait. I love the UK, and the fact that you can jump on a train and go to Paris anytime, almost anytime, besides this time.
Yep,
But
2 hours and we'd be there.
it's insane. When it first hit our shores, and kind of the US as well, did you notice the same? Everyone froze for like 2 weeks.
I mean, us included. We were speaking beforehand, and like me and you were chatting and saying, we were hiring 2 new staff, and then we had to, like any company did, we had to kind of say, right, what are we going to do? Let's just play this out for a couple of weeks, like you said, and then all of a sudden, for us anyway, it was like boom, and maybe you can say the same.
Yeah, absolutely. It was almost like we had to take a beat to just make sense of what the hell is happening. So, and we went through some really serious scenario planning. Like I can't lie, I was, I had the same exact feeling. It's so visceral. I had the same exact feeling as when I got that notification from my bank about having, like it was like that sinking feeling of, oh my God, how bad can this get?
The unknown.
The unknown, exactly. The uncertainty and the unknown factor was so high that we were planning out, okay, what are we going to do when we lose 25% of revenue, 50% of revenue, 75% of revenue? And so we rolled out this plan, and I went away, and I remember back then the number one thing that you can do during this time is just get as armed up with information as possible to get resourceful. Because really, when things are uncertain, the first thing you can do is arm yourself with information. So I went away and did a lot of research and came up with this, what we coined as the 5 stages of the pandemic, to figure out where we are with what each stage is, and what we believe the transition looks like as we go stage to stage from a consumer spending standpoint. So not necessarily from a health standpoint only. And that was what saw us through till today, and also our clients as well.
And as per when you hit this point, we know what we're going to do at that point, and then
exactly
for that point.
Exactly. So it's like, when we hit early stages of lockdown, what can we expect? When we hit full lockdown in certain countries, what can we expect? And then when we hit the next stage, which is lockdown starts to lift, but economic impact starts to really set in, what do we do during that time? So, for a lot of our countries, I think we're at that precipice of a stage 3, stage 4. People are talking about lifting, opening economies and stuff like that, but easing up a bit on the medical side and the social distancing side. But who knows? I mean, who knows what the economic impact truly is going to be? Because, look at Virgin Australia. They're in voluntary administration. Giants are falling over.
Right.
So this is a very exciting time if you're looking at it from an opportunistic standpoint, for sure.
I couldn't agree more. It's wrong to say that you're excited in the current climate, but I do feel that rush of excitement as like there is opportunity in any crisis. And again, like we said, it's just how you adapt and how you plan for that opportunity. So take us to, again, modern day, like you are responsible for, how many clients right now do you have roughly? Just give me a rough figure.
So we are almost at like a 1-to-1 headcount ratio.
Okay. So say 50 or so handful of clients.
Yeah, 40, 50, yeah.
So you obviously cover a lot of spend per month for all of those clients. So you're in the trenches, you're there doing it on scale, okay? How have you seen this pandemic affect things, as far as traffic costs? We hear all the time people saying CPMs are a lot cheaper. Then we hear people saying conversion rates are taking a massive hit, but then some people are saying their conversion rates are through the roof. Does it just depend on the niche, the type of product? Or have you seen something consistent across all of your clients? Because I'm guessing, like you said, you don't just cater to health. You have health clients, you have fitness clients, you have beauty clients, you're in a really good position to kind of tell us all in the lab and our audience, what you've seen personally as a company across the whole spectrum.
Yes, sir. Love that question. Thank you for asking that one. When it first set in, we definitely lost a few clients. By lost, I mean they had to go on pause. As an example, one of our clients is a smart luggage client. Luggage, come on, like no one's going to buy
travel. No one's going to buy luggage, right? Exactly,
and they're a funded startup as well. So I think they raised something like maybe 60 mil, something of those lines. Opened up a retail storefronts in Singapore. All that stuff had to put on pause because the board of investors just went, this is not on. We need to take stock. So a few of those froze. Like one of our clients was a like dresses for like events. That was the whole angle. If you're going to go to an event like a wedding or a quinceañera or something like that, wear this dress. No events. So what was the pivot? You know, so they really froze and really needed to figure their shit out, because that was their core value proposition. Meanwhile, and I don't mean, I would need to be very careful saying this, because it can come off sounding completely douchey, and that's not my intention whatsoever. But in the past 2 weeks, we have had like game record highs.
Yeah.
In terms of ROAS, in terms of the, you know, we're seeing click-through rate amazing. AOV is starting to actually like bump up. You can almost see it happen when checks drop, when stimulus checks drop. You can see that happening.
I saw that. Like, people were saying that there was like a direct correlation of people getting their checks and people just buying shit they didn't need, which is mad. It's the society we live in, but hey ho, if we're selling those products, you know, it's
I know. And how interesting is it that as a digital marketing, digital advertising practitioner, you get to see the effects of an economic stimulus in such a real way. It's wild.
Top level,
it's
right?
So wild. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, for sure, CPMs are down, but we kind of knew that was going to happen, because guess what? When you go into lockdown, according to our 5 stages, the fuck are you going to do? Watch your TV or watch your phone, or watch your TV on your phone.
Right.
And you're on social and you're glued to the news. For the longest time, I was glued to the news. I was like, what the hell's happening next? What the hell's happening next? And when you're glued to the news, the upswing, the pendulum swings the other way, which is, I need to relax from the news now. So I'm going to browse my feed. I'm going to spend a lot of time on social, which means inventory just goes through the roof, right? At the same time, a lot of people are, and it's so wild that hearing these small business owners rationalize things to go, we need to cut costs. Where should we cut costs? Advertising. And I'm like, whoa, what? All the things you want to cut costs? Exactly. Yeah. It's not a cost. It's more an investment, more than anything. So
realizing as well that like people are sat at home, and like people thought that this would be a time where people didn't have money, but now that they're getting backed, and you know, they're not spending money on petrol, going to the bar, a night out on Friday, Saturday night, they can't eat out of their favorite restaurant, they're not doing these things, they can't go on holiday this year that would have cost them like 2K. Like, they have extra money, they're bored, they're at home, they're on their phone, they've been hit 6 times by your retargeting ad, they're gonna probably want to buy your product, right?
Absolutely. And we are currently even seeing this across almost all niches, when the messaging and the creative is on point.
So this is going to bring me to my next question. I'd love to dive into this a little bit more before we just go into e-commerce a kind of whole. Like, how have your processes been adapted? Like, we get the bigger picture. Some clients dropped off. That was going to happen because they physically can't do business. They can't trade. Other clients are ramping up because, you know, CPMs are lower. We're getting higher conversion rates. People are at home buying products. But have you just kept things the same, or have you adapted, the ways you are buying media, the ways you are targeting people, the pricing on the page, the messaging on that landing page, the messaging on the ad? Like, have you got clever with that? And have you seen, if you can give us some golden nuggets on that, that would be incredible.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. On the technical side, more or less pretty much the same. So by technical side, I mean the technical media buying and the targeting and, doing all those like tactics, like, 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5% lookalikes, or those types of things, whether it is CBO or ABO. If a client was already on CBO, we just kept them on CBO. If they were already on ABO and that was what was working for that account, we kept it that way. What we really pulled our focus on was, how are you, dear client, going to communicate with your customers and with your audience now? So, and then how do we have the congruency throughout? So then what needed to happen was, we needed to help our clients get kind of put their finger on the pulse or get a read of the room. Are people concerned about delays with shipping? So did the banner on their Facebook page need to change to, our shipping is totally fine, guys? Like, that's the messaging, or does the messaging have to be something completely different? So really ramping up the advising clients to go, ramp up your conversations with customers as much as you can, because you need intel right now and get a read of whether your audience, your customers, are fearful, are they not taking the pandemic seriously? Or do you serve that demo? Do you serve, like, what demo do you actually serve, and how do we then have congruence, which is what marketers do anyway. It's just that now the situation calls for a bit more acute empathy. And so it was really about the creative. It was really about and by creative, I mean not only the ad creative, but the congruence when they get to a product page, when they get to browsing the homepage, and then in the email messaging as well, is to then go, we're still here for you. These are the things that are happening. And to make sure that we can continually to deliver to you, this is what our founders are doing, or like our team is doing, over communicating almost.
Yeah, so you're almost like reassuring people that, you know, that nothing's changed, but you're still here for them. You're going to be open and honest with them, and there's going to be no surprises, because I guess that's what everyone's fearing. Like, I ordered this product, it doesn't come for months, so you need to
exactly. Exactly.
So,
and from a beg your pardon, say that again.
Please carry on.
Yeah, from a creative standpoint, still maintaining that for anyone that's watching this, if you want a reference point, a really good one that we were using as a reference point for our clients as well, is just go look at ASOS and ASOS Men Instagram accounts. They handled, even from the onset up until now, I believe, at least in my personal opinion, they handled this is just their organic. They handled the messaging really, really well. So there was no, there's a term that I learned about because my wife told me about it, called virtue stancing, virtue positioning, or something like that. Essentially what it is you are communicating your virtues to people, which is why all these celebrities are getting in trouble right now, like Gal Gadot singing, you know, like Imagine with her celebrity friends, and her getting the line, imagine having no possessions, in her like multi-million-dollar mansion, and the internet's just like shitting all over them because they're making a commentary about something where they have no right making a commentary about.
Right.
And that's where the internet really wants to tear you up. So for a lot of our clients, it was like, if this is a business as usual post, just keep it that way. Don't overthink the copy. Don't overthink the creative. Don't turn it into like a pseudo news article. Just be like, hey, do you want to be comfortable while you're spending more time at home? Or, hey, now's the best time to care about your loved ones more than ever. So one line, that's literally it. One line, a few emojis, shop now, done. Or like learn more, done.
And then consistent across all your ads, and then also your homepage, your product page, sales page, whatever it may be. That's one thing we've been voicing to clients, is to kind of keep that consistency, and calling things out, on the landing page. Not to jump in here, but because obviously this is what we do, like the landing page, when you can actually almost answer someone's question before it comes into their head. So when they land on that page, it's that banner at the top, like you said, we are still shipping. Shipping times may be slightly longer than normal, but we will make sure we get you your product within 14 working days or something like this. Or, congratulations, you are qualified still for shipping, or playing on that works really well. So it's all that.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So absolutely. You said ASOS was a perfect example. If anyone's watching, guys, head on over to ASOS Instagram accounts. Check out how they're kind of speaking to their customers. This is going to help you know out. Guys, there's lots of you joining on the feed. If you're enjoying this, hit that like button. Make sure you say a little comment. Give us a little hello. We've got some questions coming in here as well. I just want to dive a little bit deeper into the kind of ways you run traffic and ads and stuff. So what would you say are your kind of golden nuggets that you can share when running an ad campaign? Not just through this current pandemic, but are you seeing things trending right now? Like, what's working as far as ads? Are videos working better than images? Are testimonial ads working better than normal ads? Tell us a little bit, share us a bit, maybe your kind of top 3-5 tips of what people can do to kind of really scale up their Facebook campaigns.
Absolutely. And, you and I run in the same circles. I think the people within Landing Page Lab community and people who be watching this probably run in the same circles, where it's like internet marketing, probably nerding out a lot on media buying, and then, learning out on the CRO side. On the media buying side, I see, so it's so wild to me how many people still think that they need to run ads like it was 2018. What I mean by that is they think that they still need to, like, as if the algorithm is some kind of crocodile that you need to wrestle. Like, right. So much has changed now to the point where we found, and we just internally with our team, we just call it like the Zen it. By Zen it, we mean just put in the CBO. Keep it really, really simple. You don't need those really crazy amount of campaigns with a ton of ad sets in there anymore. Just go in there, utilize CBO, let the machine do it for you. Especially if you don't have a lot of data, it's going to suck shit for a while. And you think it's just sucking shit and that's when most people freak out. They're like, it's running for 2 days.
You don't have traffic, but like you say, you suck shit for a couple of days, you're spending money, you're not making money. And is that the difference between like having some fucking balls and just going with it versus like losing cutting your loss and then losing that money?
That's what we saw. So we challenged because we are a premium Facebook partner, we get a rep from Asia Pacific HQ in Singapore, and we would challenge her on it. We almost had a really heated but very open and well-intentioned debate about this. We're like, what the hell is this CBO thing? Because every time you keep advising us to do CBO. Facebook's telling us that it's going to be, this was back then months ago, Facebook's telling us it's going to be mandatory at a certain cutoff date. And then Facebook then rescinds that and says they're going to move the cutoff date to later. Obviously, you guys don't have your stuff figured out. And every time we try a CBO, like you're recommending us, because to stay a premium partner, we have to display that we are using certain best practices. Otherwise, you kind of get slapped on the wrist a little bit. And we challenged them. We said, what the hell is the CBO thing? It's not working for us. And she put us onto their engineering team to help us explain it a bit more. And true enough, once you let it sit for a little while, it really starts to learn. It literally is like, imagine, WALL-E, that Pixar movie, or any kind of new robot. If you put that new robot in for the first while, it's going to be like a Roomba. It's just going to walk around and just like bump into walls and shit. After a while, once it gets a read of the room, it really starts to flourish. But it was hard for us to explain that to clients, because clients would be like, guys, it's day 5. What the fuck? That's not what I hired you for. But once it comes through the other side, really cool shit. I mean, I just shared a really tongue-in-cheek screenshot a few weeks ago, actually just last week, the week of Easter, where we were running this one campaign for the first 2 weeks of April. We spent 10 G's for this one smaller client and brought her like 11x ROAS.
Wow.
And the account structure was like really 4 campaigns. Once you go in there, you've got the typical, we might be testing different audiences or different stacks, whatever. And then we've got dynamic creative within the ad sets. And that's pretty much that. So number one is like, stop feeling like you need to wrestle with the algorithm. Let it be your friend. Don't let it be your foe. Understand that it's very much like a canine dog. Once it sniffs something enough times, it can go out and be like a heat-seeking missile, but give it time. Don't freak out too early. Have your checks and balances in there. Naturally, you can walk up to any poker table knowing when you need to leave, but don't feel like you need to outsmart something that's really, really sophisticated. Let it be your friend. Don't let it be your foe. The next part being, and I think this is going to really resonate from a CRO standpoint, just have that creative congruence throughout the whole thing. So let the messaging really shine throughout the whole thing. And by that, in terms of what you want to put in front of people, UGC is definitely crushing it. I don't think this is news for everyone. I just want to confirm. Any type of user-generated content, influencer, phone shot content, those are working really, really well. You want it in your mix. In fact, don't be afraid to, in your creative mix, let that be heavier than all your glossier stuff. Right?
Yeah. I'd love to ask a question on that, because we don't run traffic. That's not what we're known for. We're known for CRO. That's what we do. We handle we leave the traffic up to guys like you who master at it. But we see a lot of opinions, and we tend to see the opinion that you should do all your kind of glossy shit for the first view. So what I mean by is the first people seeing your ads see all that, and then retarget with all your kind of user-generated content. Like you say, your kind of very organic video reviews for your iPhone. Influencer stuff. Is that still the case? Is that something that you guys implement?
That's something we actively test. So we actively test whether the glossy stuff works and there's a buddy of mine, Faraz. I love him to bits. Very smart guy. He talked me through the pyramid of influence, and pyramid of influence in terms of what we were jamming about was more specifically about influencers. and how you have this pyramid where at the very bottom you have like your customers, and then the next rung of the pyramid is your super fans or your super loyal VIP type customers. Exactly. The next one up, you have your micro influencers. The next one up would be your professional influencers, and up the very top are the like journalists, PR, celebrities. The higher up you go, the more reach it has, the more appeal it has, but it's pricier. And then on the other side, the further down you go in the pyramid, the more trust it has, right? Because
I'd like to challenge the conversion rates. Like, I would think from a perspective of what we know as data, that the lower you go, the better conversion rates are, because what we find is like people associate with people. Like the like you're kind of saying, like the influencer stuff is cool once in a while. It's all about those kind of touch points. But as soon as they can associate with someone just like them using the product or, you know, buying that product, that's when we see the conversion happen.
Absolutely. And production value content is kind of the same. So the more high production you go, it might appeal like, you know, ooh, it looks like a TV ad. It might look cool, but I don't trust it as much.
Right.
Because it's so glossy. Like, what is this, right? I want to see someone else using the product, which is why UGC works really well. And which is also the same reason why, if you think about it and really break it down, that's why the onset of influencers, and I'm talking like way back, like YouTubers, and when IG influencers first popped on the scene, that was how the phenomenon that caused them to break through. It was so much of it was due to the fact that, oh my God, that person looks like me, sounds like me. It's my age, and they're doing cool shit. I want to do cool shit too. So I want to live through them. And now when they're doing their product reviews and all that, I'm more likely to listen to them as opposed to Natalie Portman, who says, you know, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. You're like, yeah, sure, Natalie. I paid like $5 million to say that. I'm
You're probably not even using it anyway.
You're probably not even using it anyway. We're getting so much more jaded to that stuff now.
Yeah.
So, you know,
awesome. Okay, cool. So that's point 2. Let's get a few more in if we can.
Absolutely. So the next one really comes down to fundamentals. I'm a very big fundamentals guy. I'm a very big, like, what are the systems and the philosophies and the underpinnings rather than just the tactics. A big one, which is very boring, super boring, but super like boring, like Mr. Miyagi says, wax on, wax off. It's boring, like, you know, if you're Daniel-san, you'd be like, why the hell am I doing this motion? But once you get there and you actually hit that aha moment, it's like, oh, I get it now. This is like the power block or something, right? Customer avatars. I don't know about you. I'm sure you get briefs from clients and stuff like that. I really don't think that people know their customer avatars as much as they should know their customer avatars. Why is this important? This is important because if you know, and you can use Google Analytics for this, you can use customer surveys for this, you can look into your IG insights for organic posts for this. If you know your majority, your highest converting age, highest converting gender, and highest converting in terms of percentages, most traffic and conversion, then why not use that really, really rich information to then go pick the right types of influencers or right types of people, talent, let's call them that, influencer or otherwise, to produce your user-generated content.
So who those people would naturally associate with.
Exactly.
And does that go the same as with messaging as well?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where the congruence comes in. Once you understand what those avatars are, and not who you would like them to be. I speak to so many brand owners like, oh, you know, our brand appeals to like the 18 to 24. Yeah. You know, they're all hip and they're cool and they're bougie. And then I look in their GA, I'm like,
you're buying their products, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, it's 30 to fucking 45.
Yeah.
Like, maybe let's like test catering to them. And then we can start breaking things down, because there are some tools out there like where you can do audits on influencers.
So how do you find out? What's the best way of finding out these kind of demographics? You mentioned Instagram, just organically posting through, right? Instagram, gaining some followers, and then checking your insights.
Yeah, so you can go the quick and dirty way, or you can go the full tilt the other way and actually do manual research. But well, from the insight standpoint, is just to understand male versus female, what the geo is, and very top level stuff. But then what you can do also is just look at your posts, look at your commenters, or look at your followers, look at commenting, click through on the actual profile, look at their profile and see if you can see some patterns there if you really want to go full tilt the other way and give that much of a shit. Otherwise, another thing you can do also is leverage your organic. And what I mean by that is, and you can do the same test with paid, no problem, or even boost your organic. That's fine too. Let's try. I believe that my brand appeals to women who care about beauty and wellness, and almost the way that we think about it, it's a bit like the way, when you start a new Instagram page, it asks you what you are,
right?
Like publication and media, or blog, people, celebrity, band, and on YouTube they have like gaming, beauty and wellness, blogs, travel. So we think in those types of categories and then go, okay, well, let's then look at should we put creative out that speaks more so to the people that might like travel, and then see what the organic, what type of signals, because that's so cheap compared to like committing fully to an ad that you want to scale, and then use those as the feelers. And then you can try to blend be like part travel, but also at the same time, using IG stories, for example, part travel, but then also at the same time, have a beauty and wellness element to it. And that really informs the creative. Like it doesn't have to be this fully fledged thought process where, like typical marketing consultants, HubSpot consultants do this a lot. Let's do a 4-day workshop to find out what your customer, you can do it in 2 hours. Just go into your GA, stalk your users a little bit, stalk your followers, and
you can this, right? There's people on Upwork that you can pay like a couple $100, give them your IG account, and just say, go and build me an avatar target demographic based on who follows us, what they're posting, who their friends are. So you don't even have to spend time. So that's a great, really cool bit of advice as well. Right, we're going to get into some of the QAs from the live stream in a second, if that's cool. But I'm going to put you on the spot and just say, if there was one thing that you could share with our audience, people running Facebook traffic, one thing that kind of was like an aha moment that you just started to do on your campaigns and you were like, shit, this made a big difference. Is there anything you can kind of share that people could just go and do right now on their campaigns and they would hopefully see like an uplift beyond what you kind of just said? Or are those the kind of most important things that you've seen? Boom, as soon as we start to get content across our message, we saw a huge uplift.
Good question. I need to think about this a bit more.
Of course.
So, first,
hit me with that potato. I love it.
So
good.
This is your weekly Q&A. Your weekly Q&A with your potato. I really do think it's the I really do think it's the mindset. What the aha moment? I'm going to turn this potato off. That's
so good.
The one thing that really was the aha for us in our team was when we finally were okay with admitting to ourselves that we don't have to be as technical as we would like to pride ourselves to be. What I mean by that is we didn't have to then split up our campaigns to like ABO and then, like manage budgets and really get so technical and try to wrestle something, which worked back in 2016, like 2016, 2017, 2018. 2016 was golden age. You can almost put up like anything on Facebook and fucking make money from it. As it started to mature a little bit more, we really started to see, okay, golden age. And then after that, people started it was like tactic central, right? For the longest time, all the forums were like this method, that method, that method to try to wrestle the algorithm. Right. Because the algorithm was still so young. So Facebook was still trying to figure shit out while making money. And then now it's really getting to that point where I remember when Facebook dropped the whole like Power of 5, right? If you go Google Facebook Power of 5, you'll be able to see Facebook's philosophy on simpler campaign structure, dynamic creative, yada, yada, yada. They mean what they say. For the first time, very few times does Facebook actually mean what they say, especially from reps or whatever. They actually mean what they say. You simplify it, you let it do its thing, it will give you back what you need if you set everything up. Yeah, exactly. That was a big changer for us.
Don't overthink it. I think it's
not anymore
across anything. Yeah, like you say, not anymore. Like again, just pulling it into like the CRO world. Like everyone used to think, like gone are the days where you had to have like these flashy rush my trial kind of landers with moving buttons and banners and big directional cues and arrows and massive hero shots and bang, big headlines, bullet points, countdown timers, scarcity, exit pops, like plug in. Like kind of like, on the back end of Facebook, you had to layer this, have this campaign, this ad. Like it's kind of the same. Like it's a complete opposite. People just want honesty. They want it simply put. They want it laid out in a nice manner. It's keep it simple, stupid. Remove all distractions. Remove all those different kind of things that you used to fuck around with on Facebook. Remove all those stupid things that you used to fuck around with on a landing page, because now it's more about having a real product, a real brand, giving people an honest experience, and then they'll buy. So yeah, I couldn't kind of vouch for that more on our side as well.
Totally. And is it the same for you? Because like, I'm curious to know the time, let's call it X amount of time, right? That landing page builders needed to spend on all that flashy shit. Now that X amount of time can be invested into, let's figure out the copy, the persuasion, the creative, where shit really does matter.
Right.
Not all that technical stuff. Is that the same for you guys? That's where the time gets invested now?
Yeah, exactly. It's implementing those principles. It's focusing on again, it's trust is huge. Trust is social proof, and just implementing those conversion principles is way more effective than, like you say, spending kind of all this time on the latest plugins, the latest, like I said, kind of exit pops, countdown timers, scarcity. Like you can still do those things, but you need to do it in a much more authentic way these times, because people have seen all this shit now. They've seen all these pages. They know what to look for. They know what to click off from because they've been scammed by them before. Their neighbor's been scammed by them before. Like you now have to get serious, start thinking about brand, and yeah, it's important. Mate, this has been amazing. I've got a few more questions, if that's okay, from the live stream to ask you. I know it's late at night, so I really appreciate your time. You've been dropping some absolute gems. For anyone watching this replay on YouTube, hit subscribe. Also, make sure you're joining the lab at landingpagelab.com. D will be in there to hopefully, I pray, answer your questions. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Hit those buttons.
Amazing. Yeah, hit those buttons as well. Let's get some reactions on here, please, guys. If you've seen some value today, we've got some incoming in already. Amazing. Cool. So let's just ask you a few questions. So someone asked, would you say that organic marketing is dead?
I wouldn't say dead. I don't know. Like it's dangerous to have dogmatic views about things, right? It's a very cool clickbait headline. I forget who asked the question. I remember seeing it in the questions. It makes for a very cool headline. Like, is organic marketing dead? And you'll click through. But look at, again, go back and look at ASOS. Look at all these big brands. They're still dropping organic. There's this world where I know a lot of people that do organic really, really, really well, and they are crushing it in that space for sure. But they also, I think the leg up is it can't just be a one-legged horse. It can't just be organic. You need to have some money to drop to then be able to amplify that.
Get to that level to be organic.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you need to drop the cash to be able to get that amplification, because naturally a lot of organic reach has been throttled, specifically on, more so on the Facebook and Instagram side. But dead, I don't think so. I think if anything, organic is what I do as a consumer myself. If I meet a new brand, the first thing I do is I go to their social and see whether, like if it's like they're advertising for all this stuff and I go on their social and only 3 posts, I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. From 2017? Oh, fuck, what?
Yeah. No, 100% agree. Makes sense. Great answer. Someone else has asked, what were some of the biggest mistakes you made with PPC along the way? So what are some of the biggest mistakes?
On the PPC side, I don't touch PPC. I'd be the worst person to answer that question for you, Leighton. Leighton. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it. Yeah. I'll be the worst person to answer that question for you. We do have a PPC team, but I almost hardly ever touch PPC. The last time I touched PPC was 2013, 14 when I had my tech startup, and I was literally going through. In fact, one of the people that ended up getting interviewed on my show, Mike Rhodes, who wrote the book with Perry Marshall about Google AdWords. Though that was my like Bible to use, but I haven't touched it for too long to be able to give any type of real like good shit. Unfortunately, sorry, man. Sorry to disappoint you.
I love it. Love the honesty. And then someone's just asked, interesting point about letting your campaigns run. So we're talking about obviously just letting them go through that kind of bad days, and then hopefully it should come out the other way. When do you turn the campaign on? When is that decision made that something doesn't work? So like you could have that mentality of let's let it run. It's going to work itself out. It's always going to work itself out. But you could be 3 weeks into letting it run, losing 5K a day. When do you make that decision as a company? Do you have metrics that you trade by internally to say, right, turn this off? I mean, you've got a big team. Do you tell your team when it hits this metric?
Yeah, so we have some underlying principles there. A lot of it is very client driven. So what I mean by client driven is it depends on their KPIs and their margins and what the target baseline return on ad spend needs to be and what thresholds we are. So in terms of what campaigns, how long we let campaigns run for, we literally just go, okay, well, if we're still in the testing phase, let's allocate something to like a for top of funnel, actually just all the way through, we might go like $100 a day. Some of them are a bit larger, so test for them is like $1K a day. And as we're going through that, because we're not only looking at the ultimate metric of conversions, we're also looking at all the other metrics as well. So then we're just looking for all the other signs. So what is the click-through rate? How often was it served? Are we hitting the right pockets? And it really is just going, okay, wait, not today. Let's look at it tomorrow. Let's not fuck with it just yet. Because sometimes
analyzing that risk per day, is it like
exactly analyzing the risk per day?
We haven't got great conversions, but maybe that will flip in the morning. But like if you look at everything and everything's down, it's like this probably doesn't stand a chance.
For sure. And because what happens is sometimes like Facebook just doesn't want to spend. It just does not get delivery. So that if it doesn't get delivery, that we change it up quite quickly, because it's like, wait, if Facebook's not spending money, let's wait for a day, wait for 2 days. Let's not wait for any longer. 48 hours is long enough where Facebook isn't spending. But if Facebook looks like it's misspending, and so that's when we go, okay, at least it's moving. Let's watch how it moves. And let's give it 24, watch again, 24, watch again. And when the KPI if it starts dipping the other way, that's when we go, time to pull it and then go again. Or to start really diving in and going like, okay, well, what types of creatives are actually in there and what's getting served out. So by that point, it becomes so nuanced. It's hard to give like an exact tactic.
Yeah. It's more like common sense. Look at your ads every day and kind of make that decision based on a few principles. And
based on the KPIs that you set. Or I guess
with this black and white though, it's like this isn't going to spend. It's not going to work. Let's just cut it.
Yeah. If it doesn't, if it doesn't spend, why why leave it there? Go tweak things and then go again. And sometimes it might just be as simple as just doing a dupe and then going again.
Okay, so that's a little tactic as well. If it doesn't spend, you just dupe your ad set and then
give that a shot. Yeah, exactly. If you're running CBO, just like dupe that and then let it go. See whether that works out. So we've got a bit of like a cascading things to try, right? If A didn't work, let's move to B. If B doesn't work, let's move to C. And then it's so situational. So we have A that can branch off to like B1, B2, B3, B4.
Yes, I love that though. But that's what you've set up internally, which has enabled you to scale, I'm guessing, as a company, because you have these set principles, which I see is so important in our company now. And that's amazing. So if anyone watching who wants to employ media buyers and stuff, make sure you have those principles set out, and then you can go and say like you can make decisions based on our principles, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The I don't know. I always like the analogy I always end up with is still like mixed martial arts or like UFC. If one tactic is just the jab or the Superman punch. Right? Just because you saw this UFC fighter KO someone once with a Superman punch, you're like, okay, cool. I'm just gonna practice a Superman punch. It's like, bro, you're gonna get punched and you're gonna get kicked in the head if that's the only move you have. Like, you need to learn peripheral vision and footwork, get the sense of the ring, ducking, weaving, wrestling, jujitsu, groundwork, stand-up game. There's so many moving parts. So the principles help see us through the entire fight and survive it. But if it's just one hack, one punch, that's awesome, right? If you can add multiple punches to that, that builds up your principles that sit underneath that. I think Sun Tzu was the one that said it, like, strategy without tactics. He wrote it a lot better, but strategy without tactics doesn't work. Tactics without strategy is the slow noise of defeat.
Boom. Love it. We're going to end on that because that's fantastic. D, I really, really appreciate you giving us an hour of the time here in the lab. Guys, before we head off, if anyone's watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, or make sure you join landing page lab.com to see more of these incredible interviews. But D, just to say thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you? How can people follow you? If people want to work with you, how does that look like? Just sign us off. That would be amazing. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I had a lot of fun in the past hour.
I've never interviewed a potato head before, so I love that as well.
Right. I've never been a potato head before, so that was super fun for me too. 2 firsts. I love it. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I have to say that first and foremost. And thank you everyone for your attention. I really do appreciate it. Your time is precious, so really do appreciate that. If you want to ever link up on Instagram at Real Dose of D, that's me. So Real Dose of DEE. Same for all the other platforms, facebook.com/Real Dose of D. That's how you get to me. And my team, we're righthookdigital.com. If you want to go on the website, see what we do, figure out what type of personality we have and the rest of the team. That's the best way to reach out to us. My team will take good care of you, always get in good hands. Our core value is focus on our client success. So that's always top of mind for us.
Love it. Amazing, guys. Go and hit up D and his company. A lot of our clients work with D and give us nothing but good report about the company. So make sure you hit them up. Look up Right Hook Media. We're getting some amazing comments saying what a brilliant interview is. So thank you so much for all the value. And go and get some sleep now, man. I appreciate it. Cheers, guys.
Appreciate you, man.
Lab soon. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys. Thank you.